Excellent. Well, Ed, I guess you got everyone riled up a couple weeks ago around using the term SEO and applying it to the marketplace websites such as Cars.com, Autotrader, CarGurus. I think you had some of the SEO experts in there. Just I guess I don't know. They were pretty upset. I guess they didn't appreciate the term SEO being.
Well, I think what got their panties in a bunch was when I said that the marketplace sites, Cars.com, Autotrader, CarGurus, there's a whole slew of them, are the most important search engines for car dealers.
Oh, is that
when it comes to used cars? And the reason for that is, these are vertical search engines that do a much better job at helping customers find the right vehicle. If you Google a vehicle in Google, it really doesn't do a good job for returning the results that you're actually looking for. That's my contention. And I don't think I'm wrong. I don't believe.
I never thought about it like that until you mentioned it, and I was like, well, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, it is a search engine per se, and I think they've turned more into that as the different marketplace websites have been able to apply, I guess, their own algorithms to be able to produce.
Well, and that's been the big change. That's a recent change. These verticals, it's not just automotive. If you think about real estate, if you're looking for a new house, you're going to turn to one of the real estate search engines because Google doesn't do a great job helping you find a house. But there are 3 or 4 websites that actually specialize in it and do a better job for that particular search.
Well, and I've got a really good friend that is a real estate agent, and it's funny to hear him bitch and complain about some of those websites, some of those marketplace sites on the real estate side. I was like, yeah, we had the exact same bitching on the automotive side about a lot of the marketplace websites as well. So they go through the same pain that we go through, or at least the perceived pain. With time, I know one of the sites that he just couldn't stand was Zillow. But he's come around to it. Rather than making it his enemy, he's figured out how to really leverage it, getting reviews and such, making sure that his real estate is properly optimized for the different marketplace websites, which of course is what we're talking about today. Making sure it is optimized. So, segue into the whole optimization. I mean, a lot of dealerships, if we follow the path of the inventory, it gets entered into the DMS. Granted, most dealerships, if you look at their DMS, if you look at the inventory, a lot of dealerships, whoever's entering that inventory into the DMS, they're taking shortcuts. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's some plugins with ADP and Reynolds that give you a more robust VIN decoding. A lot of times, the dealerships or whoever's inputting the data, they're not putting actual options that are included on the vehicles. They're not putting interior colors. So a lot of that information that's being put into the DMS and then being, sent out to hopefully a middleman such as an inventory data service such as HomeNet or Viato. That's where a lot of dealerships,
before the inventory gets to a HomeNet or a Viato, there could be a lot service involved. somebody like Dealer Specialties.
True. Yeah.
And they will often add things like interior color, or not, as the case may be.
And they're always spot on with it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're right. That's a whole nother channel. So from DMS to a service such as lot specialties or dealer specialties, and then from there, a lot of times they've got their own internal system as well. That's dealer facing. So then it gets cleaned up in there, and then from there it goes out to the marketplace websites. Unless there are
then there's quite often a syndication company, somebody that is doing, like vAuto quite often is a pricing tool for a lot of dealers.
Correct.
They also offer a syndication tool.
Well, I'm thinking of HomeNet. HomeNet they don't do the price.
Does the syndication.
They got a few, but they do the syndication piece.
And often there is an aggregator between HomeNet and a company like Cars.com or Autotrader, ICC or DMI. Those companies are in the middle as well. So there's a lot of room for something to fall between the cracks.
Yeah, a lot of room there for data error. I guess I want to focus on again. I think a lot of dealerships probably. I'd love to see a raise of hands. Of course, we can't do that now. How many dealerships use HomeNet for their vehicle data to make sure it gets on the syndication side, to be sure it gets sent out to the different marketplace websites.
We could ask our Facebook viewers to just say we use HomeNet or we use a straight feed from our DMS or something.
Why don't you do that, Alex? There
you go. Throw it out there, fellas.
Well, that's where one of my biggest thing is dealers do that virtual lot walk, because and what I call virtual lot walk is touching every car. You got to see if every car is being in the feed, how many are missing, how many are missing images, how many have temporary images, because you can't get, a lot of guys get tied up. They're going to only have 2% of their cars missing images, but 20% of them only have 10 photos. So some systems count those 10 photos as photos, and those get lost in the shuffle. But then you got to look at like you talk about, Ed, you get somebody, a third party coming in, doing your photos and descriptions for you and pushing it out. Well, you see cars with sunroof with no sunroof pictures, but it's in the comment, or sunroof in the pictures and not the comments. And so you're going to have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people seeing your cars online, but you might only have 10 ups on your lot today. And dealers are more worried about their front line and having a hole being filled on the front line than what they're worried about in their inventory for those 10 ups or people that drive by traffic. And it's totally opposite. And you got to do, it's one of the things we do for dealers because it's time consuming, but you got to touch every car and make sure all that stuff's there. Because there's too many variables that's going to throw things off.
I
think that's what
here at Mercedes. I personally touch every used car. Believe it or not, I still take the photos, not of the new cars, but of used cars, because I want to touch the car. I want to know exactly what options are on the vehicle. I want to know everything about that vehicle because I'm the one that's I'm the one that's merchandising that vehicle in HomeNet. And then from HomeNet, it's going to go out. But my question a lot of times is, and I know, Ed, you and both Jasen could answer this, once it's in a service such as HomeNet and it's being syndicated out, and let's just say it hits Cars.com, does it make sense to then go into Cars.com and clean up the data there or optimize it per se? Is it necessary to go into these systems? My advice, Cars.com, and optimize it once again, or at least do a big brother check on it.
You want to double check it. What's made it to Cars.com or Autotrader or CarGurus. But I wouldn't want to touch it. I wouldn't want to lock that inventory on Cars.com.
Well, now you can, and one of the things I always teach dealers is call these companies and request not to lock the inventory. and take a new feed every. Some of the sites, they used to do it where you put a feed in, and once there's photos, they stop taking that feed until that car disappears. They'll take the car, make sure it's in stock, but nothing changes. Even though we're changing photos all the time, taking snow photos out, making them spring photos, those never took. They never took because once they got a set, they locked that car in. The provider, that Autotrader, we used to have to call Autotrader, say every feed is a new feed. Do not lock my stuff in. But you can also say don't, do the request. But and I don't know if you're going to go here, but CarGurus, you have to go in that back end and check their boxes to get the good deal, best deal, fair deal type stuff.
Oh, really?
You got to act, because you can have you can have sunroof in your comments and in your data feed. But if you don't go in their back end and check the sunroof box, go in there, edit your inventory right now and check those boxes. You'll go from a good deal to a great deal, and then and through the back end. So you have to do that. It's one of those, and again, I know this because we have a lot of dealers, and there's probably people out here who can chime in that can confirm this, but it's something that I've considered doing for our dealers, as an added charge, saying, hey, we'll take the time to do this because it takes a lot of time. We're already doing your photos and descriptions, or we're not doing them, but checking that stuff for you. And we know it. So yes, you got to go on that back end. And then Ed, I asked Alex Vetter, and you maybe can confirm this, Cars.com has those same boxes to check, but I don't know if it affects your ranking and your new algorithm or not. He said he was going to check on that, but it does on CarGurus, definitely.
Well, that's and certainly the difference between CarGurus and their default sort, which is best deal. So it's vital to have your car show up as a great deal or a good deal or whatever it is, because those guys are all about the price, the deal, being a good deal. For better or worse. I don't want to complain about them. The majority of the marketplace sites today use this, and the idea of having an algorithm, and this is new. I mean, this is new within the past 6 months, with the exception of KBB has done that for years. Cars.com, this is new. Autotrader, it's new. I think Edmunds is fairly recent. TrueCar does a relevancy sort of best match sort. Moving from a good deal to a great deal is more important on CarGurus probably than anywhere else, just because they're all about the deal. Mm-hmm. So I think it is important to note that the idea of algorithms at work, this is really new. For the most part, at least on the big sites, Autotrader, Cars.com, and it's a big change. And you didn't used to have to worry about interior colors, because it didn't affect your placement on the search result page. Today it does. So
well, they have to narrow it down. It did if they narrowed it down, but yeah, I mean it does, and the CarGurus algorithm is not. It's not just the price. They're not going to do high to low or low to high. It's going to calculate all those features and those miles. But Jeff, were you not aware of that back end tweak you have to do on those? Because if you're not, I challenge you to go in there and play around with that and see what it does to your cars, because you'll get a lot bigger.
Just waiting for you to throw out the offer to do it for free for them.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Well, are you referring to CarGurus? Is that who you're?
Yeah, the back end. All those, you got to check off those boxes.
I wasn't totally aware of that. No.
Yeah, you need to go in there, edit your inventory, and go check those boxes and see what it does to your rankings.
That's what makes this Refresh Friday, I think, so important, is because how many dealerships are out there are managing their inventory through the syndication piece, and they're not touching it. I mean, it's a lot of work to go through. Like you said, it's a service that you're thinking about offering, but to go, especially if you're subscribed to Cars.com, to Autotrader, to CarGurus, to to Edmunds to there's probably 10 more that I didn't, I can't spit off, but to go into each one of those individually and optimize your inventory. I mean, that can be a lot of work. If with you working with so many dealerships and knowing basically the back end of all these marketplace websites, what are some of the top things that you would recommend a dealership definitely take a look at? And which of the sites out there, how important is it for me to go into the back end of cars.com, Ed, to optimize it? Are there some different points of data that are more important than the other? Obviously, price would probably be one of the most important, but hopefully that stuff's being syndicated through the feed, whether you're using HomeNet, Viato, whatever it may be.
And I don't want to be speaking on behalf of cars.com today. I'm speaking to you guys as somebody who's been in this sector, for better part of 20 years, from Autotrader to Viato to cars.com.
So we should ask you some Autotrader questions too now.
I could, but it's been years since I've been gone from Autotrader. I spent about 10 years at Autotrader. So I'm really, I'm not speaking as a cars.com spokesperson today. From what I understand, you're better off in the case of cars.com and also I think Autotrader, trying to do as much as you possibly can without having to go into our back end tools to, screw around, adding, deleting, checking boxes. If you can do all of that as much as possible through your, whether it's Viato, HomeNet, etc., doing it one place is better than having to go to 5 different websites and using all of these different back-end tools, if you can.
Well, what I would say to that too is, I'm looking at the Facebook live feed. Ryan Leslie was asking about gaming going on. I wanted to answer say two things. One, answer his question. Yeah, I've heard of dealers going into CarGurus and checking all those boxes off, and because it didn't list it as those features, so the customer doesn't see. If he checks the sunroof, even though it doesn't list it having a sunroof, but it just made his algorithm look better. Now that's what I've heard, and so dealer goes in there and checks all the boxes, and every deal's a great deal. So there are, and then and I don't know if this is doctrine, but really what I would say, CarGurus is the only one that I know you got manipulated. Other than I need Ed or Alex, I asked him, and he was going to get back with me. Is the boxes, because cars.com does have boxes to check off, but I don't know if it's part of your algorithm or not, or if it's just off the feed. But basically, what you've guys done with these new algorithms is force customers to use the left rail more. And what I mean by left rail, because if I do an F-150 search, I'm going to get a 50 grand crew cab and a 20 grand regular cab and a 2-wheel drive extended cab, that's 8 grand and 1, 2, 3. If I just do a generic F-150 search, then it forces me to go to the left rail and actually pick out the features if I want to narrow my search down more to the truck that I'm actually looking for.
And honestly, Jason, that's always been the case. I remember,
sure,
15 years ago,
no, it's high to low price, so I would at least have a 50.
What we would call a dealer.
Yeah, but but it's not that way. Before it was high to low, and you go 50, 49, 30. Okay. Like I said, right now you're going to have a 50 grand and an 8 grand in one search. So it's not. And so it forces you left rail. So what I'm saying is, as far as what Jeff was bringing up, what do you got to do? Go to each site that you're paying for to list on. Sure, cars are going to be on hundreds of other sites too, but go to these and look at the left rail and make sure everything that's on the left rail is you're maximizing that either in your feed, or maybe it has to be at the back end but can they narrow down by transmission? Make sure you have that right. Can they narrow down the interior exterior color? Make sure you have that right. Engine. It's like the freaking Chrysler's what is it, CVT transmission versus automatic, which is an automatic.
Right.
But, there's things like that. You got to list it as an automatic in my eyes because customers aren't going to narrow it down to CVT because I don't even know what that is. But I do, but no one's going to, the normal shopper's not.
Right.
So, you just got to look at the left rail because with these new algorithms, it forces a left rail search and you're going to have to just make sure you're feeding all those left rail things.
So
new end use.
Which is a very logical way to look at it. It makes perfect sense. Just go through
the doctor
and knock that out first, right?
Yeah. It's pretty obvious stuff.
That we're headed in a direction.
Well,
that within a couple of years, we should be able to ask a couple of questions of consumers. Basically narrowing the search down on the left-hand rail, or what at that point 2 years from now it could be voice search. And at that point we should be able to really match what the customer is looking for based on what we know about the customer and what their stated needs, wants, desires are, pretty accurately. And if we can cut down on the number of searches customers have to do to get a good match to their wants, the better off everybody is. I think you're going to sell more cars. Customers going to be happier. Everybody should be happy. Hopefully.
And I know it looks like you want to go somewhere, Jeff, but can I mention part of something I've thought about since you guys hit me up yesterday about this? The major difference, and this is, I think I'm venting as a dealer because I feel like, I'm a team member to all the dealers that we help. Because we're on weekly calls with them. And I was thinking back, traditional advertising, print, radio, TV. Here's my point is these Autotrader, Cars.com, CarGurus, they've got to realize who the customer is, who their customer is. And to me, it's the dealer, right? Because they're the one flipping the bill. Now you go back to the traditional advertising, the newspaper we advertised a ton in. But guess the newspaper's consumer was both the subscriber because they had to pay for the magazine and the people advertising in them, and they helped each other out, right? And even the print magazines, some of them were free, but the car magazines that you could get at the old Autotrader magazines and stuff that you get at the restaurants and stuff, and some of them were free. But those free magazines, even the rep would show up to the dealership and do the photos and the ads for the dealer because they would help them out because they knew that the dealer wasn't going to be able to do it anyways, or they wouldn't add it. So I think back then in traditional advertising, those they knew who the consumer was. It was both the subscriber or the person buying the magazine, and it was the dealer. Now it's the whole bill is flipped to the dealer, and that's where dealerships is getting squeezed because consumer gets to do this all for free. Now, Cars.com, auto trading so well, our real customer is the people shopping for cars. Yeah, but the dealers are the ones paying the bills, and those are the guys that need the most help. Where's the help? Like I said, why do I got to go back into CarGurus and check these thing boxes off and make it even more? And it's not fair. Again, to me, it's like, who's the consumer? It's the dealer. But they're focused so much on the shopper. I'm not saying that the vendors aren't good, not that the Cars.com reps and Autotrader reps aren't there to help the dealers. I'm not saying that at all, but not to the level that's needed to fix all these little problems that we're talking about, I think.
Well, just to the point of having you guys on Refresh Friday today, it seems like you two are the only ones who are really saying this stuff. We don't know what's going on in the one-to-one communications in the stores between the reps and the dealers, but out on the internet, I'm only hearing you two talk about this. So
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a bad thing. I mean, why isn't CarGurus, doing webinars and things that talk about how to best optimize their site and so forth and so on? So,
maybe they do, but maybe they do the consumer in their back end or something, but not being in the store, I don't see that communication. But I know, I was a rep. openly. I was a rep for Auto, and I would go in and handle what I needed on the accounts. If they needed added help, I do. But if they didn't know they needed that help, and because I'm not at the store, I didn't know they needed that help, I wouldn't provide it. So a lot of these reps, no fault to them, they don't know that the dealer's not doing this stuff. Maybe some other rep had them, and now they're getting the new rep's getting them, and they assume the other rep covered this stuff with them. And it's just, when I was at the dealership, I always made sure I maximized my time with my reps. I pushed them. I wanted them, and I worked with them. A lot of dealers kind of blow off the reps. Yeah, we got it. I ain't got time. It's a busy day. Yeah, get lunch and move on. Hey, thanks. And hey, can I get tickets to that ball game? And stuff like that. But I really made sure I maximized my reps because I was getting every penny I can out of them. And so that's one thing I think dealers could work better on.
As a working rep, yes, somebody who's in stores, multiple times every week. And this was always my advice to Auto customers as well. When I would sell Auto to a dealer, the last thing I would say to them is take advantage of your performance manager. And don't just blow that off. Really spend some time and take advantage of their expertise. So when a general manager says, go talk to the internet manager, I take that to heart. Now I spend time with the internet manager, but quite often I need to spend some time with the used car manager as well, because a lot of what I need to discuss is in their ballpark. And don't just blow me off, give me 15, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever that's necessary so that we can actually have a conversation and I can help you. And that's always my goal. I want to be able to bring at least a couple solid pieces of advice every time I walk into a dealership. And doesn't have to be a long visit, but if I can help them do better in the next 30 days, that's my goal.
Well, become a real partner. I'm with you, Jason. I utilize my my reps to the max. I don't ask for lunch or dinner or anything, but when they're here, we sit down, we go through the reporting. What am I missing out on? What can I be doing better? They've got to be a true partner with us, and I can't stand it whenever they don't show up from time to time. I'm on get in here. Yes.
Well, and that too. I mean, I think the used car managers of these days are really should be marketing managers. And I realized that I was with Auto helping dealers because I had some really good operators and like, hey, what else you got for me? What else you got for me? And that's where I really start digging into marketing, and I start researching marketing, and I'm like, holy crap! I mean, really, like visual direction. That means point your photo toward. And we used to do it in print ads, but we might not have realized that our rep made it happen. If we had a payment here, the picture of the car pointed to the payment. And it's called visual direction. I remember my marketing guy when I was in a dealership bringing it up. I'm like, whatever. But it's so true. Things like that, and that we got to be marketers now, not just inventory or used car managers. There's good desk guys, there's good computer guys. You got to have a mixture of a computer / desk guy nowadays, but you're just marketing, because now, before, I could be a good used car manager and a used car guy because we would have a ton of lot walks, a lot of inventory, a lot of people popping in on Saturdays and traffic. And it took my communication and personal skills to put them on a car and find out the best needs and then try to sell them that car. Well, now the customer's already sold. You just need to confirm it with them when they come in the door. So the sales skills still have to be there, but they're not as what it used to be. You need to have more marketing skills and people skills than before. It was sales skills, people skills, and then marketing skills. You really didn't need marketing. Put balloons, shoved everything out front, put some ads out, and drive the traffic. Now it's all marketing. And if you're not looking into how to market nowadays, that's the dealers, I think, that continue to struggle. The managers, like you said, you're spending time with the internet manager dealing with the leads that they're getting, but only what nowadays, and Ed, you probably confirm this, 20% or less people submit a lead to your internet department. Okay, so 80% show up on your showroom floor. So your showroom floor people are handling more internet customers than your internet department do, if you really think about it. And then you take all 100% of the people go in the F&I department. So 100% of the, internet shoppers end up in the F&I department, and think that's a whole other conversation. But, your floor people end up handling more internet people than, so again, Ed, you spending time with the internet person's fine, but you need to get the marketing, because that's what's driving people in the door, get the value out of your service.
You're exactly correct. And the best performing dealers that I work with are the dealerships where I generally have a good working relationship with the general manager. Mm-hmm. And then a wide, deep relationship with the entire team. So I'm talking with the used car managers, the new car managers, the marketing department, their BDC department, and having that good working relationship with the general manager. That doesn't always happen, because I understand general managers are busy and they just want to push that off to somebody else. I think they would be well served to have a conversation at least once a quarter, if not every month. I can send them a recap email, but having a conversation makes a lot of sense, at least once a quarter. That would be my advice, if not every month.
Monthly. Yeah, I would say monthly. But
Jasen, what are some other websites or marketplace sites out there that dealerships should probably make sure that they're jumping in the admin portion and optimizing their inventory, and not just relying on the service that they're using for syndication?
I don't, the back end of some of these, I don't, again, other than the cars.com having these edit buttons and where you have little boxes to check off with features, if those affect the listings, we need to go there. Definitely CarGurus. I don't think Autotrader is an issue right now. The other ones out there, Kelley Blue Book or Carfax, I don't think are issues. But one of the things that we do, and you guys as a dealers and anybody else could do too, is we really take advantage of the reporting. So for example, now cars.com seem to have gotten rid of the shopper count. Autotrader still has it. But what the benefit of the shopper count is I could see in most markets, January, February, March, the shopper counts peak. April, May, and June, they drop off. July, August, they pick back up a bit, and then the shopper counts drop all the way down through November. So it used to be when I'd go into a dealership as a auto rep, I'd go into a dealership, I don't know, May or something, and they'd be like, I don't know what's going on, man. Our photos are good, our pricing's great, we're priced the same as we were, but it's just dead. And I wouldn't know why. But once you start looking at shopper counts, you start seeing, if there's been a 20% drop in shopper counts, well, no wonder your SRPs or VDPs or leads drop 10%. It could just be the shopper information and shopper count. So there's information in those reporting on the back end that you definitely want to, keep an eye on, because it does affect your overall performance and could justify maybe what's going on for the month. Not to give any reasons, because a lot of guys, well, that's BS. I need to sell more cars anyways. But they got rid of shop account and cars.com. What's the equivalent of that then on that back end? I know it's kind of an SRP data, but I mean, my SRPs could be down due to my wrong cars. It could be I have less cars in inventory, things like that. So other things to track, SRP, VDP per car, and not just your overall number. But Ed, if they've kind of replaced that shopper count with something else in the back end?
I don't think they ever got rid of that at all. I'm looking at a reporting rate. So you want to look at the traffic report. So any one of your cars.com dealers, and if you have access to their reporting, you want to look at the traffic report. And at the bottom, you're going to you're going to see visits and visitors. So that's shopper count is visitors. Those are
Is
you.
it okay? But is a visitor to your inventory or visitors to
Well,
cars.com?
that's in the market. That's in the market.
Okay. So they changed terminology, but that's in the market. Do you know the default usually is like 100 miles or something like that?
It's a DMA.
Okay. Whatever that is, depending on the store. In my case,
West Michigan is my DMA. That's so looking at Jeff's.
Well, which one is it then? Because the other one, it's 528 feet. The other one's pull that back up, Jeff, or where'd that go?
See, and I probably have a little different view than Jeff.
Searches, that's SRPs. Is that SRPs or is that just is that the shopper count? 1.4 million?
Yeah, so that's the number of searches.
I don't think Jeff's getting 1.4 million SRPs.
No.
But he's done a lot more Mercedes.
Okay, and I'm learning something new because I have a different view of the same reporting. I have an addition that's called traffic. That's right.
But see, here's the thing. Hold on, I'm sorry. The 1.4. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I have the addition of something called traffic that is showing me the traffic in the market, and Jeff doesn't have that on his reporting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And the 1.4 searches is searches. It could be one person doing 1,000 of them, right? So it's really not a shopper count. You could have less people searching more often.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. It's
absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And then just tell me 528 feet from me. To me, that's not a relevant number either. Because again, when we were tracking, it was a lot higher than that. All of a sudden, it dropped off. I guess you can do the 20,000, but
what you're seeing there is it's really an offshoot of the lot insights reporting. So basically, that's showing you people that are using their mobile device on the lot or within 528 feet of the lot. So you can see how they're using their mobile device on your property, not from their home or their office.
Yeah, but again, going back to the point, there's no shopper count in here like there used to be, and I could tell you when it stopped because we tracked it. But there are searches, but again, it doesn't tell me if there's more or less people coming to your site. But again, I would imagine searches increased as the algorithm changed to relevant. And it forced people left rail searches, because they got F-150, okay, four-wheel drive, and then the regular cabs, okay, regular cabs. And not that you didn't do it before. I mean, it was like that before, but the relevancy and what order they came in, at least we knew it was high to low, and I could flip it low to high to look for cheap.
What I'm seeing anyway is a trend to fewer searches, but more VDPs and more connections. Yeah. Because they're finding the right match without having, and if you go back and look at the history of this, and I love the history of this. 18 years ago, I went to work for Autotrader. It was 2000. And I remember having a conversation down in Atlanta with the powers that be. And I asked the question, why do we have this sort from highest price to lowest price? Wouldn't it make more sense to have distance, from my closest dealers, rather.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah. And what I was told back then, the mindset back then was if we force customers to look at more cars, scroll from highest price to lowest price, they're going to spend more time on our site and they're going to look at more of our dealers' inventory. So that was the mindset 18 years ago. And that mindset persisted for 17 years. And and then obviously companies like Amazon, et cetera, have made it easier and trained consumers that you should have a better, easier experience when you're searching for something. I think Google has done the same thing. And if we can get them to the right match for their needs and their wants, we're better off. And so that's where the algorithm came in. And I understand change is hard. Nobody likes change. And car dealers in particular, I think they detest change in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Now, there are some folks that really embrace change. I love those guys. But there's a lot of folks that don't like change. And,
well, it seems like you mentioned a trend. There's another trend going on too, where some of the more detailed analytics that used to be provided to dealers is starting to go away. It's not just happening in this instance, but there's a website company I used to be pretty close to that is talking about bucketing SEM and SEO in one search metric instead of breaking it out. So you can't break out whether it was paid or it was organic.
Oh, wow.
They might sell paid search too, but
that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well,
no.
We'll see if they do.
To get back.
I know it's on their planning board potentially.
And I'd like to go ahead.
Well, I agree with Ed with the nearest to furthest. I think it benefits the dealer and the customer because I think customers would like to buy locally anyways. But two, I want to bring up this, and you guys tell me, because you guys might not see this, but I'm in Kansas City. If we go to Autotrader right now in Kansas City and I search for a car, this is where it's not fair. Something's happening, and I want to bring this up, and I want you guys to know if you see it in your market. There is no Carvana in Kansas City. No Carvana locally to Kansas City, but somewhat, I guess. But you go to Autotrader and do a search, there's Carvana cars popping up right now on the first page. So I'm a local dealer. That's why I say, zip code first, because I'm a local dealer. My ad should be, I think it's an easier sell for Autotrader, Cars.com, CarGurus go. We let the dealers say, hey, when somebody does a search in your backyard, you're going to show up first. And again, I think the consumers would like it because they don't want to have to drive 5 miles, 50 miles away to buy a car if they got one 5 miles in their backyard. So, but to have Carvana that's not even in this market, probably 4 hours or more away from us, I think, to pop up like that is totally unfair to these dealers.
What's causing that? How are they getting away with that?
They paid for a package, I'm sure. They probably paid for a premium package that puts you at the top.
So they're paying for a premium package and they're buying that region?
Yeah.
And
my zip code is 66062, Kansas City. If you guys go to, and now again, I don't know if it's happening in your zip codes, but it's happening in ours. And and that's where it gets really, that's shady to me. And I don't know if that's shady on Autotrader's in or shady on Carvana's in. Autotrader just has the packages and sells it, but they're obviously knowing that they're going into these markets like this. And to me, that's just, and again, that's where these providers got to understand who the consumer is. It's the dealer. They're the ones paying the bill. Customers don't pay anything. And when stuff like this going on, that's the stuff that has bad taste in a lot of dealers' mouths. I don't know if you know, but that's the topic that kind of blew me away.
No, I took notice of that myself. There's no Carvana around here, but I've seen their inventory show up, and I questioned, some of the answers that I've received was, well, you've got the option to do that as well. If you want to go in and purchase, and I guess that's part of their whole market.
Yeah, you can't fault them, but the
fact that I guess it's buy online, even though you don't really buy online, but that's part of their message. They'll deliver the car to anywhere in the United States, and since they're able to do that, they're doing business in every state. So, let's not buy that region. And I'm sure they've got some great analytics that they can look at to figure out what are some of the better regions to purchase those packages in. So
and like I said, a lot of guys don't like new things, and this is kind of a new thing. And what Autotrader is going to go, well, what do you want me to do? Prevent you from being able to market in another market that you might want to? So I can't prevent them to. So I get that. Like I said, I don't think it's an Autotrader fault as much as it is, like Ed said, there's changes going on. Dealers got to get used to it. So maximizing these sites to override those Carvanas, you better do it. You got to figure out these ways because they're coming after them.
Yeah, that's definitely they're going after it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's an answer to that. I don't know what's there. You know, I mean, if we look at their financials, I'm not sure how they can afford to do it. So, and I want to switch gears a little bit, just going back to, you know, the syndication and looking at the different marketplace websites. And I'm going to highlight cars.com here, you know, because you are with them. And I know you've got some ideas around that. But you had pointed something out in one of your videos that you actually published on Dealer Refresh. I'll have to pull that up a little bit later, where a dealership can go in and run a report, export that into an XML, and be able to quickly find which fields are missing within their data syndication. Would you be kind enough to maybe step us through?
Sure. And to me, this is an incredibly useful report to identify the missing fields. So if you go into the inventory tab that you have across the top, drop down and pull up your inventory editor, and then you can export your current inventory.
Okay. My connection is a little slow at times, so I do work at a car dealership, and a lot of times, even though everything we do is online, the priority of our internet,
upper right-hand corner says export inventory. Then you can export that as I think a CSV file and open it up in Excel. And then you could sort the columns, and at this point you're going to see every bit of data that is really vital, and that's going to be engine size, wheelbase, exterior color, interior color, all of that information. Save to my computer.
Yep.
Hit save.
And then this is just going to download a CSV file.
Yep.
Save.
Also, it does all your connections and everything too. Like if people contact you, right? Total connections and stuff. I believe.
Well, not in this report, but you can certainly download that
anytime
you want.
Yeah, that's the other inventory report. Editor.
Well, while we wait for some of this, I just want to throw a big shout out to Chris Leslie. He's definitely the winner of Facebook comments today.
I started seeing some of that. I think he got mad at me earlier. Hey, you know what? Another thing to do that you could do on cars.com, also, Jeff, is somebody could just go to cars.com, pull up their inventory. When I was talking about left rail stuff, go to their cars.com, find a car, list it, and then go view just that dealer's inventory used. And then you'll see, go ahead, do that. Scroll down to your dealer info. And this is a quick way. I click on one of your cars. This is a quick way that I do a spot check on dealers once before I go into a demo to see if their inventories are screwed up or not. But if you click on that car, scroll down to your dealer profile information. It'll say view details for the dealer or something.
Okay.
And then from there, I think you could see, it'll show you how many new, how many used you have listed, and, click on used or whatever. So go to your dealer info. I don't know if we got a delay on the computer. There you go. So go to dealer details.
Details.
So this is the best way, I think, and going back to Ed's would be a good way for the manager, but go click on dealer details. But this is the way how the consumer is going to see your inventory. Click on that, and then I think it'll show you how many new and how many used you have listed. Click on the used, and it'll list your inventory like a customer's searching yours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, click on the 37. And then what you do is go to left rail, like open up the colors, and you'll see other. So you might have 10 under other, and for exterior colors or interior colors. You might have 20 cars that say other for interior colors. Because here's the thing, the report that Ed showed you, it could show you have the red as your exterior color, but it's using the manufacturer's term, and Cars.com doesn't recognize it. So scroll down. Let's see if you got some interior or exterior color others, and transmission others, things like that.
I've got Cognac on the interior. Terra, black.
So do you have some others in there? We must have a delay. I see a delay.
Macchiato. I'm not seeing any other.
Okay.
And that could be because you've already checked your inventory and you've got everything up to speed.
If you're good, if you're running good, you shouldn't have any others. The point is, as a dealer, you can go in here and see, because you could have that fancy color black that your manufacturer calls it, but sometimes Cars.com doesn't recognize it. There is a delay here because but yeah, that's a good way for the dealer to see how the consumers, because you can have the color and the interior, the extra, the transmission. Cars.com wasn't picking up the Wrangler's new transmission. So if you had a Jeep Wrangler, it was some kind of mountain climbing transmission or something. It was the 6-speed or something. And Cars.com wasn't recognizing it. So if somebody went to look for an automatic Wrangler and it was that newer one, it wouldn't have showed up. So you start seeing stuff like that. And that's, even though in your feed that Ed was showing you, it's there, customers didn't see it.
Yeah. So I think this spreadsheet is, it's golden because only because everything is in one place, and it makes it pretty simple. It's easy enough to download or export, and all of a sudden we've got everything in one place.
Right here. So yeah,
that's good.
So, I mean, that's extremely easy for a dealership to run that export and quickly come here and look at, what's missing. If there's anything missing. I mean, it looks like I probably get an A+, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, the vast majority of the dealers that I work with and I've looked at, the one thing that is consistently missing is interior color.
Really?
Not always. I mean, like 20% of their inventory is missing interior.
Why is that? Is it because it's not being entered into the DMS and it's not being extracted from the DMS?
I think it's because it doesn't show up in a VIN explosion. It's not being entered into the DMS, and whoever is taking the pictures and doing the lot service work isn't entering it in. It's being entered most of the time, but not always. So it seems to be the easy thing to miss.
How important, and so speak on behalf of Cars.com if you can, and then Jason, speak on behalf of some of the other marketplace websites. How important is it to have that interior color listed? I mean, you can
move from above the fold on page 1 to page 2 or page 3 by not having the interior color, at least from what I've seen. That seems to be.
Imagine. I mean, a lot of Cadillac. I mean, what's the number one Escalade? White and tan, right? Or certain colors, black with gray interior. I mean, you're going to miss some big. Your SRPs could be going down because you don't have interior colors easily, because people are going to get specific.
I mean, let's face it. Looking at what's relevant to consumers, exterior color is relevant. Interior color is relevant. If you're looking at a Silverado, it's really relevant if it's a crew cab as opposed to a regular cab. An XLT as opposed to a work truck. Those sorts of things really are highly relevant. And if you don't include the information, you get dinged. And I think from what I see, that's the case with Cars.com, and I'm sure it's the case with Autotrader and Edmunds, all of the companies that use an algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not providing relevant data to the algorithm, and so the algorithm penalizes you. Unfortunately.
Are there any other fields that are extremely important that, you know, just looking at this spreadsheet in particular, are there any other fields that really have an impact on the dealership's you know, listing of their vehicles?
And I'm going to say from the dealers, and obviously our friends in Chicago at Cars.com don't share the intricacies of the algorithm with the folks in the field, because they don't want anybody to game the system. And really, it's not possible, I don't think, to game our algorithm.
Well,
but from what I'm seeing, the kind of the new addition is your reputation. So you're you know, if you're a 4.7 star out of 5 on Cars.com, it benefits you. If you have a 2.3 rating on Cars.com, it seems like those dealers' vehicles are showing up lower on the search result page.
Okay.
That's my impression. I don't know that for a fact, but it seems to be the case.
My other go-to to manipulate the sites a little bit, and it's not manipulating it, is the flat pricing. You know, Jeff, you remember 2011, I think I talked about that.
Yeah, I was hoping you would bring that up, the flat price. Yeah. That's always now that fluctuates between different market sites, right?
Well, yeah. So each so flat pricing would be pricing a car $20 grand instead of $19,995 or $999. And the point is, if somebody searches 20 to 25 grand and you're at $19,999, you do not show up. So $19,999 works if the customer hears your ad. It works on the radio, TV, or on the windshield when they look at it. Psychological pricing, that's what it's called. But that's not how people search anymore, and especially left rail, the relevance. You know, if a bunch of stuff's coming up that you really weren't sure you're looking for, budget's going to be part of that. So I think it's real important to use this to help you get more SRPs. Pricing it at 20 grand. But yeah, every site's different. Autotrader, they'll do $1,000 buckets up to 20 grand. So, you know, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, those $1,000 work. And then at 20 to 30, they do $2 grand buckets, 22, 24, 26, 28. So 26 is a popular bucket on Autotrader, meaning customers can search 26 and lower, 26 and higher. So if you're at 25,998, it's hurting you. You're missing opportunities. Now, flip side, Cars.com, they do $5 grand increments after 10. So they go 10, 15, 20, 25. So 15 and 25 is really popular in Cars.com, where 25 does not work on Autotrader. So some of the things when we talk of pricing strategies with dealers is we're saying, let's price it at 26 grand. Then we're going to drop it $500 and it's going to go to 25.5. The reason why I do the $500 drop, it gets me reduced on Cars.com. I got to do 1% drop on Autotrader. It used to be 2.5, now it's 1%. So I'll go 25.5, but what I'm doing there is trying to see if the 26 shopper on Autotrader and CarGurus, I'll bring up CarGurus in a minute, the 26 works on CarGurus, but 26, I go to 25.5 in a week or two, and then I go to 25. Now I'm on 25 on Cars.com, my SRP spikes, but on Autotrader it drops. Even though I dropped the price $1 grand from 26, I'm getting less SRPs because it's not as popular. So that's when I spotlight a car on Autotrader. So now I'm spotlighting it to get the SRPs back up, and I'm getting SRPs on Cars.com. And so you can, and once you understand how to manipulate it, now CarGurus does $2,000 buckets to 10 grand, and then they do $2 grand buckets after 10. So 12, 14, 16, which seems like an odd number. 18 works on CarGurus, but so does 22, 24, 26. And then once they get to 30, both sides go $5 grand increments. So once you understand that, you can start moving your cars through these buckets, 26, get the SRPs, go to 25.5, see if the SRPs bite and come and bite. If not, I just set it up to go to 25. Now I get the SRPs here and I'm spotlighted over here. There's ways to move that to really maximize those SRPs. All these features are important because, again, they're going to narrow down by color, transmission, and things like that, sunroof features. But that's where I would go to left rail. So, you know, this report in Excel, like I said, it could say the engine in here or the color, but if cars.com or somebody doesn't recognize it, it says as other, you're missing those opportunities. So what Ed showed you here to me is great for inventory managers to make sure they entered all the data right. But then I would also, as your virtual lot walk, go to cars.com and make sure that data is filtered right. And that's, again, another layer of work that needs to be done. But you're spending the money over here, and you got to make sure you're getting money's worth.
And two,
but the flat pricing I've done. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, when you change the price in the back end of, let's say, cars.com or CarGurus, aren't you locking it at that point? So if you go back in the HomeNet and you start changing the prices in HomeNet, it's not going to reflect on the marketplace websites, because as soon as you make that change, it's going to lock that price in, right?
Yeah, don't lock in your price there. Don't fix your stuff here. Fix it in your feed or change your price in the feed. Either if Viato's feeding it or your website or your CRM's feeding it, like Bin Solutions sometimes feeds, will feed the inventory. So fix these things in the feed, not on the site, because you can lock it in.
But how do you do that if each marketplace website has a little bit different variations on when it shows, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, again, instead of, the CVT automatic, instead of, I don't know, Galaxy Black, just make it black then. And black, everybody recognizes black, but maybe Autotrader recognizes Galaxy Black, but cars.com hasn't yet because they haven't got the memo yet, so, just make it black then and dumb it down to the simplest form on things like that. And that's the other thing. And now these sites have gotten better, but years ago when I talked about marketing in cars as a sunroof, moonroof, years ago, Autotrader, if you had moonroof, it wouldn't show up because they had a box that you checked for sunroof and it looks for sunroof. So if you had roof or moonroof and somebody checked sunroof, you did not show up. So we started listing our cars with double down. We would say moonroof / sunroof. We would say nav / navigation / GPS. Because a lot of people look for GPS, but if I got it as a navigation, I'm out. Now, Autotrader, cars.com fix things like this. Or think about panoramic roof. You put panoramic roof in there, you're not showing up on the sunroof. So if you have panoramic roof, I would also have sunroof buried. You got to meta tag your description somewhere buried in there. You need to add the dumbed down version of it. Bluetooth. We would talk about Bluetooth. That's an important feature nowadays. And I talked to a Ford store. They said, well, if it had Bluetooth, it's got sync. So I just put sync. I said, well, no one's looking for sync. They're looking for Bluetooth. So they have sync in your comment, but somewhere buried in there, maybe at the bottom, get Bluetooth in there. So you pull up. So even though Autotrader, CarGurus, and kind of cars.com fix those things, like sunroof and moonroof show up now, again, your cars are showing up on hundreds of other sites or maybe tens of other sites that you don't know because it's a pre-feed through dealer specialties. And you don't know how those filters are. So at sunroof, moonroof, I'd do navigation, GPS. I would do rear entertainment, DVD player, both, instead of just rear entertainment or DVD. Second row captains or 7-passenger seatings, things like that the customers are going to look for. Any version that they might search for, have it in your comments.
Okay.
Maximize the SRPs.
Put it in the comments. Actually.
So,
are there any? Do you know of any? And Ed, you and I discussed this, I believe, yesterday. Are there any of the marketplace websites that are looking at keywords within the comments, or seller notes, custom descriptions? Each site sort of has their own naming convention for that. Are there any sites out there that are actually pulling keywords out of that?
As far as I can tell, it doesn't seem like that's part of the algorithm. But certainly you can do a keyword search on all of the major websites, so Autotrader, cars.com, etc. And so if you don't have Bluetooth in the correct field or the checkbox, you can actually do a search and find Bluetooth because it pulled from the seller's notes.
Yeah, and I know Vast, they will I think it's yearly, they put a publication out there, or a white paper or such, that will show some of the top 5 to 10 hot points that consumers are looking for. I don't know when was the last time they published that. Maybe Ryan can help us out with that, since he's over on Facebook right now. But that's something I would always look at as sort of a guideline, making sure that if the car does have these particular items, I'm including that into the comments. So look, it's
the last one that I saw from them, it really pushed it. It stressed the connectivity. Bluetooth, that sort of thing. All of a sudden, it became a real hot button for consumers.
Sure did.
Recognizing that that's important to consumers, you can make sure that you move all of that information up in your seller's notes. Listing it right off the bat, not bearing it down in the middle of the third paragraph. Let's make sure that's front and center.
Highlight it, absolutely. Look, it's 10 after 2. I didn't even realize what time it was.
Time flies.
So much great information. I hope dealerships are walking away. We typically want to go through and go, after today's Refresh Friday, what are some walk away points that dealerships grab from this? I think there's probably too many to list. I know probably the biggest thing is making sure that even though we were talking about this yesterday, Ed, we got to come up with this new phrase for you. You sort of coined the whole SEO for the marketplace websites. So, like, we need to come up with your own phrase of some sort. So we'll come up with something for you.
I think we couldn't go to work on it, but I think the most important thing for me is recognizing that this has been a fundamental change in the way most of the marketplace sites are working, and this is a sea change, and it occurred 3, 4, 6 months ago. And recognizing that this change occurred, and then figuring out how you can take advantage of the change, making sure that you fix any holes in your inventory is the important thing. Right.
And it's not difficult. It's just time consuming, logging into each one of those admin and optimizing each vehicle individually on each one of those websites.
Well, and
not to plug you, Jason,
it's pretty easy when you only have like less than 50 cars. But if you're Chris Leslie with 13 minutes.
Well, I think the lesson to be learned is make sure that it's done right from the get-go. If there's something missing, figuring out in your process, where did that fall between the cracks? And if you can address that from a process standpoint, rather than putting Band-Aids on individual listings, you're much better off. And if you can make sure that you're doing everything correct from the data entry standpoint, you've solved the issue.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely, 100%. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. And of course, Jason, just to give you a quick plug again, thanks for joining us today. But Lot Pop sounds like you're considering on actually offering a service like that to dealerships. So it sounds like there's probably a demand out.
Yeah, I mean, we already do what I call virtual lot walk. We'll go touch every dealer's cars, list it, look at all their photos, make sure no low tire pressure warning lights are on, and again, if there's a sunroof picture, that it's in the comments, and vice versa. We do that already, but this new the CarGurus things to make sure that you got to check those boxes and double down on the work. I was like, man, the dealers need to do it. If they don't have time, then we could do it for them. But yeah, I mean, dealers need to be doing that. I'd say the takeaways would be, and I apologize. Remember, I'm camping here. You guys might have seen my son walk around in the background here. He's like a bear looking for food. So the I would say again, I'm big on flat pricing. I would never price a car any other way, 20 grand. I've done plenty of workshops to get anybody can look at that stuff. I would say virtual lot walk, those two things, because again, as much as that Excel spreadsheet, and I got my 98% of my cars are photoed, but you don't know 20% or 10 photo temporary photos. You don't know, you got the colors in there, but you don't know the Autotrader person come didn't recognize it. Doing that virtual lot walk and making sure what the consumer sees is what you want to see, not, I got the pictures done. Well, yeah, you got them done with a check engine light, or there's still snow in the background. So do that virtual lot walk, and then again, flat pricing. I would say the big takeaways.
Those are the big takeaways. Now, quick question for you: does your service provide virtual balloons?
Yes, that and big purple grows. We put those on if we had to.
Well, we usually wrap up with some questions, but just for the sake of time, because we'll have you guys back on. We're going to skip that today. But if you missed today, we'll have a recording of this up on our YouTube channel. Be sure to check that out, subscribe, and of course, we'll be back here next Friday. Who do we have next Friday, Alex? Do we have anyone lined up? I know we've got everyone. We've got quite a few people lined up for the remainder of the month. But not sure about next week.
Next Friday is actually open,
and
then we're pretty booked up till August.
Excellent. Well, we'll get somebody, and we'll get that.
Raise your hand if you want in.
Yeah, we'll get that announced. So, excellent. Anything else? Any housekeeping?
Nah, I say we let everyone go.
All right, we'll let them go. Jasen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll have you back on board here soon. I'd like to get back into some of that flat pricing again.
I want to talk about leads and the cars, the CRM. The CRMs hardly talk about the cars. There's a lot there. We're doing on internet stuff about the cars. It's huge.
Right. Well, maybe I'll ping you for next week. We'll see what's up. And of course, Ed, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen.
And I know we're trying to get this Cars.com sponsored Dealer Refresh Roundtable back on the plate. So
there you go.
We'll have you back on for that as well, of course, and you'll be a figurehead for that. So, all right, gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll see you next Friday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.